Most guys make this mistake because they're locked into this fantasy without realizing it. Now they're over analyzing every step. They fail because they have lost the present moment. A guy who is in his head, who's lost the present, is now trying to impress. He's trying to not get rejected. He's probably performing, evaluating, overthinking. He isn't actually there. He's not present with the girl, so the girl doesn't actually know who he is. She meets a version of him. For years, I think I did this where I treated dating as a performance. I saw myself as somebody that was putting on an act, and it cost me a lot of amazing relationships because I just didn't know how to be present. I sort of understood it, but I didn't realize the importance of it. When every interaction now has this outcome, this objective, I couldn't actually enjoy the conversation. I couldn't actually get to know the woman. I didn't really listen to her. I was just too busy micromanaging the thinking and living in some fantasy of how I thought I should act. I was too busy thinking, gotta keep the conversation going. Don't run out of things to say. Build attraction. Don't want to get friend zoned. Gotta build attraction. Don't be awkward. How do I get her number? What's the next step? When's the best time to get her number? Don't mess this up. So the whole time I was actually just monitoring myself, judging myself, and actually making things a lot harder for myself. From the outside, it probably actually looked pretty normal. And I know what a lot of guys think when they watch videos about presence is that they say, well, don't you need to know when to go for the number? The time and the place will come, but it's not imagining when to do it. That's going to hold you back from what's actually happening. What I started to realize was when I went all in on this it wasn't the women that were putting pressure on me. It was me that was putting pressure on me. The pressure wasn't coming from the conversation. It was coming from the need to constantly be somebody else. I was constantly thinking, I need to be smoother, a smoother version of me. I need to be a more confident version of me. I need to be a version of me that, isn't feeling anxious. Secretly, pickup or cold approach was actually a way to fix myself. The woman became a vehicle for me to reveal my own value so I could fix that. If I got a good reaction, that meant I am now able to like myself. So therefore my approaches and actually speaking to women became a self-development project. It wasn't about actually meeting women. I was always somewhere in the future trying to become enough. So that was the problem all along. It wasn't that I couldn't create attraction, or I wasn't confident enough, or I didn't say the right things. It was the inability to stay with what was actually happening. Becoming present was no longer fighting whatever I was feeling. It wasn't to say that I was going around expressing what I was feeling, but it was dropping this internal resistance. I stopped trying to remove nervousness. I stopped trying to become confident. I stopped trying to get myself into some perfect emotional state before I went and spoke to people in a bar or out and about or with friends or at parties. I really stopped trying to be somebody else. I used whatever I had. The crazy thing is, the more I stopped trying to manage myself, the more I let go, which meant that I was more able to be expressive in the moment. I gave myself full permission to be whoever I was in that moment. And it seemed to be night and day, because I could tell that through this authentic expression, women were very drawn to me. They could tell who I was very quickly. Silence stopped feeling like it was dangerous. Eye contact was no longer this crazy technique to make her attracted. Smiling became something as a natural expression of me, something that was very easy now. This is when dating started to become very easy. I wasn't always getting the girls I wanted, but I was massively at peace with myself. And going out and speaking to people became this very simple process. It was no longer this grind. I was no longer fighting myself in my head, forcing approaches. It was this effortless, freeing experience that was no longer something I felt like obligated to do. I wasn't pushing through. I wasn't forcing sets or forcing approaches, all this bullshit that guys say, which makes life so much harder for guys. And I see it all in all of these forums. Guys are just so They put so much pressure on themselves. And it's really sad to see. It doesn't need to be like this. It can be a fun, simple exercise where you go out and you can speak to who you want. It doesn't need to be this obligation. I soon realized the one thing that changed everything, and that was I was very tolerant in uncertainty. I loved the uncertainty now. Whereas before, uncertainty was scary. I needed recognition. I needed confirmation. I needed a plan. I needed that certainty. I needed to know that it would work or to increase my chances. Now, paradoxically, I throw myself in because I don't know. I love the rush of that. And that is what increases in attraction, because you and the woman are now exploring a new territory together. You and the woman are now meeting each other in a completely neutral space. And that excitement and the excitement for her is what builds attraction, rather than this contrived, in your head way of actually seeing everything as some kind of formula. Now you're giving space for her to meet you in the middle, giving space for her to chase, giving her those butterflies in the stomach because you don't know where it's going, but you're in control, you're leading, and it's beautiful. If this has been helpful, obviously check out the link below. We go a lot deeper in the private group. Check it out. Subscribe, comment below if this has been helpful, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.